Howdy, folks. How are y'all doing? It's Lasso here, Lasso's Passions. I hope you have your cup of tea or coffee, whatever you like. I have my ice pack with me because it's so hot outside. It is so. I even got a pool, so I'm gonna dive in here in a second. But discussion today is on preparation, the importance of it, and the keys to success. I'm gonna go over my personal story and how my OKC event that was 2 days ago, how that was a success. It was a success because of the preparation. Now, let's get into it, shall we? Welcome. Welcome. Give me a like, give me a sub, all the good stuff. Preparation H. As like that one movie, what was it called? Austin Powers? Yeah, so the success behind that specific event, 60 people, is just the preparation that went behind it was the key, and the experience that I had already doing this sort of thing. Now, experience is an element that will inform you better to prepare better, to inform you to prepare better. And so my experience as a production assistant on movies like Killers of the Flower Moon, Reagan, Stillwater, even TV shows like After the 48 and Tulsa King, you learn how to be really good at assisting. You learn really good. And so um, I picked up this job on Craigslist. Believe it or not, I'm always iffy about Craigslist, and these are side gigs that I never really think much of. I do all the paperwork. I watch all their videos, their training videos. I read all their links about how to do the events and whatnot. I even had to do a mock audition, which again, this comes handy as an actor. You know, I had my setup because I do auditions all the time, and so at that time I had my setup, my camera, everything ready to go. And so I had a person call in Skype, and we did a Skype call where I did a mock session of the painting, and she could tell I was like pretty new at this, and so after some time I didn't hear anything. Like literally a year went by, and I thought I would never hear from them again. And then I got this email saying, "Hey, would you like to do one paint session? There's going to be in your area." And who I work for is they're called Paint to Town, and it's kind of interesting. Like the way they work, they're kind of they're national. And so whenever there's an event in the area, somebody calls in that number or goes to the website, and somebody arranges an event, a paint event. It's either like a school or whatever, like a large group. I'm sure they have a sales team that they're always like pitching to look for groups. Anyways, so the group that we did 2 days ago was a high school group from Oklahoma City, and they moved the event. Instead of having it at the school there, it seemed like a special day, a special event. It must have been like a creative art day or something. Because when I was driving to OKC, when I looked to the left and driving up there, there was a park. It was filled with art vendors. So my guess is they did something special because of what was happening in OKC, and so it just seemed like the right time, right place, opportunity, hit it. Being ready is part of the preparation. Even though you don't have an event, always be prepared because you never know. I had boxes from prior events doing paint and sips and stuff where I had canvases, brushes. What else did I have? I had like a supply of little plastic, what do you call them? Like coverings, so people don't get paint on themselves. I had canvas holders, like cardboard canvas holders, all shipped to me from a prior event that I did like 3 events, and then I did a couple. The other thing is I hooked up with this other company called Orbital, and they're also national. They're actually international. They're all over the world, and they find people in the region. Right, I was one of them. This is also a Craigslist thing, so they pretty much asked me, hey, do you want to do this kind of event? Like they asked me, do I want to do beginners drawing? So I've been doing those. So I've been doing classes for the last 2 months. I've done 5 classes, just about 5. Yeah, 5 classes. That's experience. that's me trying something new, failing at it. Putting yourself out there. You're bound to fail, right? Because you're in a situation you've never been before. But like I said, with my experience as a PA, I seem to handle a lot of unknown situations like on the fly really well. So I feel already prepared to handle things as they come. That's part of it. That's part of it. So whenever I get emails back and forth, I get an email saying, "Hey, do you want to do a paint sip in Oklahoma City for 60 people?" And I get things like that all the time. I got one saying, "Hey, do you want to do one in Kansas for 200 people?" And that scared me. And I took a second, I thought about it, and I replied yes, because I didn't want that opportunity to go. It scared me, but I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Don't let fear stop you from, moving forward. If I had to think to myself and go, well, look listen, man, you've been a PA on like Hollywood movies, TV sets, like you've worked with like really high pressure moments, and you have to like very demanding, time sensitive, money sensitive moments. Like you can handle this. This is all in one room. You're taking your directing skills into hand. Like I can direct a whole room, and I was an amazing assistant. Like I was literally pretty much leading the whole thing as the assistant. I held it together like glue. If it wasn't for me assisting, man, the whole thing would have fallen apart. I feel like I won the MVP award, because in a lot of ways, when I go into an event, I feel like I'm going into a basketball game. I know it's a weird thing, but it's like I feel like I'm going into a game, and once I'm out there, it's like I'm on the field, and when you make your shots, it's like you score points, and you do that by conversing with people and like letting them be them, and winning points with them. That's how you win points, and as far as relationship circles go. And I'm learning that too. I'm learning that. So more than ever, I'm just scoring points with people. Not wanting anything back from them or anything. It's just bringing them the joy to allow them to be themselves is a great joy that you can bring to a lot of people. Um, so the event was all arranged. I didn't have to arrange the meeting, the where, the who. That was all sent to me and Riley. Well, I should have said her name. Scratch that. My bad. This other person, she was leading the paint. She was great. She was nice, but you could tell she lacked experience. You could tell she lacked experience handling high pressure moments. And I mean, she took care of it. She was calm. But what I'm saying is, she felt a little lost. She felt a little like she wasn't very aware of the time. She would let time slip, things like that. You couldn't hear her. Like it was just no good. She didn't know how to project. She didn't know how to command the room. You know what I'm saying? So it was a bad situation. I had to really be Johnny on the spot with everyone. I was literally walking around the entire room, the entire time she was doing a painting, because I had to tell everybody what she was doing, because nobody knew what was going on. She would just start painting, and she had her whole back to everyone the whole time, just about. Like it was rough. There was no presentation quality, no. I mean, it just seemed like she just all threw it together that day. I could tell she wasn't prepared, is what I'm saying. She had supplies, enough supplies, she thought. She thought she had prepared somewhat. She bought cups, which we needed desperately. And she bought a few other brushes that came in handy. So she did. It's not like she did. She came and brought the game to the field. But I'm telling you, if I wasn't here, man, oh man, the whole thing would have been a like awkward disaster. It would have been just a major, major catastrophe. And in a lot of ways, it was because she was leading the paint, and she didn't know how to lead. She didn't know how to lead the room. She didn't know how to teach. She didn't know how to guide them. She was so quiet and just so slow, and she took so long on painting the foreground. She took half the time to paint the foreground, and then super rushed through at the end. Like it was bad. You know what I'm saying? It was bad, and the kids were just bored. The kids were doing their own thing. They weren't even paying attention to her. They just stopped. Everybody forgot she was even in the room. Like everybody was doing their own thing. Everybody was looking to me. When they were raising their hands, I would go to them and immediately go to them. It'd be like what do you like? Can I help? What do you need? What can I help you? Like it was either paper towels or they needed more paint or they needed to know what the heck to do because they were so lost. You know, that to me showed me the lack of experience and the lack of preparedness. Like to me, she put it all together last minute, right? And then she noticed she was missing some things, and I was there to help out. So you can always tell when a person isn't prepared or doesn't have the experience. Now, even if you don't have experience, you can still prepare and create the experience for you to have, so that you have that, and then you keep preparing like until the night before, and you're ready. You think of all the things that could go wrong, and I thought about like just in my head, I was like, what if there's supplies missing? What if there's supplies that didn't make it? What if there's something that went wrong? Bring your supplies, Lee. Even though the email didn't say that it required me to bring anything, it said that the shipment of supplies would be sent to the place, and from there we would find the boxes and unpack everything, and then start the other job, which is to dress the room. Again, being a PA for 5 years comes very handy in this situation because all we do as a PA, so like in the mornings and at night, is prepare where people are going to eat, which means tables, chairs, all kinds of stuff to provide comfort for the crew. That was one of my first things that you do as a PA. So having that experience and knowing that you need to be quick and you need to you can't diddle daddle, I just immediately started preparing the room. I was okay. Let's move this stuff. Let's move this stuff. Let's get this stuff going. There was our contact. We'll just name her Jimmy. She was our point of contact, so I got her helping me. I got her helping me with moving things around and in my head, before entering that room, in my head I went over the email, and the email had all the descriptions about who was my contact, the phone number, everything. And before leaving Tulsa, I had on a piece of paper so I could pull out quickly in a moment of oh, we need this. I wrote out an emergency email, emergency contact info, a point of contact once we arrive. I had that on a piece of paper I could just pull out. And guess what? We used it. We used it because it was my idea to start early, to buy us another hour, even if it wasn't something that we were getting paid for. It didn't matter. I was, you know what? It'll, I would much rather start on time than start prepping the time they told us and then be late. I would much rather go the extra mile, put in an hour that they don't know about, and we worked that hour prepping the room because there were some things we had to figure out. And like I said, she was just hard to work with because it's not that she was conflicting. It's just she was so unexperienced that she was it was like dragging a stick in the mud. You know what I'm saying? It was really hard to get the thing going. So I was moving fast. I was putting the tablecloths, plastic. She had bought some. I had some, but I didn't want to use mine because she went ahead and bought some. So that was good. She went ahead and went the extra mile in that situation. She bought those cheap plastic, things that you can buy. So we had enough for it was 7 tables. Not 7 tables, yeah, about 60 people. There's 2 kinds of brushes, a thick kind and a thin kind, and she didn't have enough. So because of my supplies, again, I was able to fulfill the rest of it. And again, nobody told me to bring it. I just was thinking, you know what? Let's prepare extra. Let's bring extra supplies just in case. I mean, we could always go buy some if we needed to. That wasn't the end of it. It wasn't going to be the end of the day, honestly. But it would have killed our time. It would have killed. I would have to go into a shop and buy brushes, and it would have been an extra expense. And so no, it would have been too much. It would have set me behind on time. We probably wouldn't have started on time. And when we started the event, because I have to go around, everyone gets a plate of all the primary colors, right? I think there's 5 or 4 or whatever. If you include black or whatever, and white and whatnot. So I had to go around, pour a little bit in each plate. And they say to squeeze 2 bottles at a time to save time, but I can't. There's just no control. So I got to do one at a time to do it just right. And so I did that for every color. I went around every single plate, 60 plus people, going around squirting paint. She did nothing. She didn't even help with that. I don't know what the hell she was doing. She was just standing around. She was having issues putting up a tripod she ended up building it really incorrectly, and it was like so unstable. She had to hold it while she was painting. It was horrible. She had so much time to prep that tripod, and I literally got all the tables done. She got half the cups done, but I was the one who poured all the water in the cups. She placed them, but I poured all the water and got all the water. I did all the paints, did all the tablecloths, you know. And when I poured the last paint, literally everybody started rushing in, and I was like, I killed it. I did it. You know, if it wasn't for me, killed it. I felt like a basketball player who shot all the threes and all the twos and all the free throws. Like I nailed every shot to just right like it's almost like the bell rang. You know, I poured my last paint, made my last shot, nailed it. Boom, whistle blown. All the kids started coming in. It was like the most perfect timing, you know. So, but there were so many things going wrong. There was so many. That's what I'm saying. When you're prepared for even you have a plan, right? But then there's preparation outside the plan that includes a plan B. You know, like all the extra supplies that I had, and that was plan B, and it turned out we needed to use plan B, and thank God I had it. You know, so that and me my experience of knowing how to go and making sure we get things on time, you know, as a just nailed it. That experience, you cannot fake that. You cannot fake experience. You really got to, whatever it is you do, whatever it is you prepare for, whatever it's like an art event like I did, or a basketball game, or whatever it is you do, a big presentation, you can't fake it. You can cram it. People will know you crammed it. If you really prepare, go over your thing over and over and over, like I do as an actor. I go over my lines over and over and over, you know, but to the point where you know it. But it's not because you're going to be a robot and you're going to just spew it out. No, it's because you know it so well that when you're in the present moment, you include all the emotions in the moment, and you're just delivering your lines, right? The way you know, but the emotions are in there, you know, because you're in the present. So all the preparation, that's why they say throw all the preparation you do out the window, because it's true. You prepare, you prepare, you prepare, you prepare, you work on gaining that experience, you know, because so many things can go wrong, and so many things can eat up your time and slow you down, and so I was just, you know, Johnny, what do you call it, Johnny on the spot, right? Just the whole time running here, running there, running there, running, communicating, because that's the other thing. The artist doing the art, she hardly communicated with our contact. She barely said hi, you know, and then she started setting up her tripod. It was like, can you give us a hello? Like, hi, nice to meet you. I started talking about the building while I was prepping. Like, I was talking how beautiful it was, and then we're asked her questions about the building, how long they've been here, and like how, you know, is this like something you do all the time? I told them, like, if you love what you do, I'd love to be back. You know, like, you know, anchoring in. That's so important to lay the foundation to say, hey, I'm in a collaborative spirit with you. We're going to get this done. And I did this with the artist. I told her I was going to be here for her. I was Johnny on the spot. I was, you know, I gave her the collaborative spirit. Like, hey, I'm not going to fuck you over. You know, they're paying me to be on your team, so I'm not going to F you over. So I did my job. As an assistant, I get a gold star, pat in the back. I mean, MVP, nailed every shot. I mean, everything was on time. Everything was placed perfectly. And then more problems started happening. When the event started rolling, immediately when we started the event, she had gained all the attention because all the other grown-ups were like, shh, telling everybody to shush. You know, the grown-ups can command a room, right? They're grown-ups. And as soon as I got the hush room, the artist started explaining what she was going to do. And then she excuses herself to go to the bathroom right when we started. And she didn't. And honestly, she didn't even excuse herself. She just put the mic down and just walked away. And I was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm going to the bathroom." I was like, "What?" It's like, we just started. So I pick up the mic and I just say a few words, and in my voice, you can tell I don't have a problem projecting. I mean, I'm an actor. I'm projecting my voice all the way to the back of the room, plus some. You know, I want the guy in the street to hear me, and I even have a microphone. So I got the microphone. I'm talking, and everybody, while they were talking, because she lost everybody's attention, everyone was talking again. As soon as I started talking, immediately after my first sentence got out, everybody got quiet. Like, shh. everybody turned around and towards me, and I was just thanking everybody for being here. I just thought it was wonderful. I was loving the vibe. Again, setting the tone. She just completely. This is what she completely destroyed. Setting the tone. She literally started the class and went to the bathroom. That's not how you start a class. You take care of that before you do anything. Like, that's part of preparing. That's so immature and just so newbie to literally excuse yourself right when you start. That is ridiculous. Like, okay, it's an emergency, go. I mean, I didn't say anything to her. I just covered it. I didn't say. I never even told her once, hey, you shouldn't do that. I didn't even say anything. All I did was cover her, and I set the tone in the room, and I made sure everyone was good, and say, hey, look, listen, like she had to go to the restroom, so give her a second, and when she's gonna freshen up, when she gets back out here, she's gonna start instructing you what to do, and here's the other thing. Here's the other thing that blew my mind, because it says on there the artist is responsible for all the supplies, not me. But again, having a plan B, I came in with extra supplies, saved the day, right? The artist is also responsible for having little picture samples for people to look at. She didn't even print any. She didn't even print any as a backup. Like whenever I had my first paint session and I led a class of like 14 people, 14 kids and a few adults, I printed out extra copies of the little pictures that they can look at, and I had one there on display and I was painting it right next to it. People can see, and I was explaining the whole time. Oh my gosh, she never explained what she was doing. The only time she explained she was doing was she said, we're going to crisscross up here with the blue. And then she never once explained anything else. I mean, she once said, we're going to use the black around here. And she didn't even know the math to explain that it was the lower third. She was like, what do you call this? She said, what do you call this? In front of everybody. And everybody's like looking, all the kids, all the high schoolers are looking at each other like, well, are you serious? And so they were looking to me, and I was going around table to table explaining, okay, this is what you do. This is what she means. And they would ask me, like, right here? Like, no, right a little lower third, right there. She had no experience whatsoever. She had no business leading a whole class of 60 people. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to throw her under the bus, but she had no business. And, it's whatever. Like, it was a good setup because she had zero experience. She gained experience. She got to work with me as an assistant. I was the MVP. So she saw what it takes to prepare, lead, to set the table, to set the tone. She saw what I was doing. So hopefully she learned because, man, it was perfect in the fact that I was there as an assistant. But I could tell you right now, I could lead. I could easily lead a group of 60 kids. I can easily lead a group of 200. The next time they offer me another group to lead 200, I'm going to say yes. Put me down. Easy. I'm even going to say, put me down easy. I have that much confidence. That confidence comes from the experience, the training, the everything, the failures before, the past that now have turned to successes because I know now what not to do. She showed me she didn't have a lot of failures in her life. You could tell she just was very scared to make any moves, and she didn't know what to do. And I was on the time the whole time, just like, okay, it's 9:30, come on, you're getting behind. I was a very good assistant director. That's all I'm gonna say. Like I ran that whole event. If it wasn't for me, dude, we would have gone on for hours. Things would have been bad. We would have started late, and that's what a good assistant director does. You run the show, you make sure everything's on time, you know where things need to be because you went over the plan over and over and over, and and then you're just the day of, you're ready to go. You're ready to go. And the thing is, the most important thing is setting your mind. Michael Jordan talks about this briefly in an interview he did like just a year ago or so. I don't know, he was like 57. I'm not sure how old he is now, but he's still like pretty much a young man still. Considering Michael Jordan is crazy. He likes doing nothing, which is sad for us because we love him. It's like, Michael, come on. We know you enjoy doing nothing and you achieve success early on, and you're all about spreading the limelight to other people and spreading community goodness. But come back somehow, please. We miss you, Michael Jordan. We freaking miss you, man. We do. Don't get me wrong. We love our LeBron. We love our Thunder. But Michael Jordan, please come back somehow, please. Just quit being lazy, man. He's being. So, I'm gonna call him out, man. You're being lazy, dude. You're being lazy. God gave you an important, such an amazing gift and an opportunity, and you do nothing with it. No, that's not true. He doesn't do nothing. He's just very careful about his image. He's such a he's such an astute gentleman. Michael Jordan is like a gentleman. I mean, he's got his crazy side, but when he's like on the public view, when he's being interviewed, when he's saying something important, because he's just so chill. And he talks about how important is the mental state. The mental state before you ever go to an event or my acting, like I had my big debut. It was all about preparing. But there's a moment, and I agree with Michael Jordan, and I do the same thing when I saw this interview today. I was like, oh, it snaps. He does the same thing. When you prepare up to a point, and when it comes time to the event, before the event, you goof off. You have a good time. You're laughing. You're distracted. You know why? Because you don't want those nerves to destroy everything you worked on, your preparation, because it will. If you allow your nerves to get the best of you, you get fear to get the best of you, you allow certain things to get the best of you, and you'll find your situation like this lady was who was painting, who had she was completely lost. She was dazed. I could tell. She was just like, uh, uh, you know what I'm saying? So I came in with my positive attitude. I was ready to play the game. I was excited. I was like, a part of me was scared, but I prepared. I've been goofing off, making YouTube videos in Oklahoma City, just having fun. And and I even talked to a few strangers just to release the stress, just talking about the city. I was like, I'm an outside, like I'm from Tulsa. And they're like, oh wow, you're from Tulsa. And I was like, yeah, I love the vibe here. I need to come out here more often. I just love the vibe out here. And so and then that got a little bit of the nerves out, and then we got straight to business. It was like game on, game face on, game time on. Like it was time. I got a text from the artist. She said she was, and I got there before she did. That's how overkill prepared I am. I wanted a bit to get there a little bit early because I wanted to get to know the area and relax a little bit, just soak it in. And so I was there waiting for her. She got there, then I helped her with her stuff, brought it to the door. Like I said, she didn't have. She was like, "Who do we call? What do we do? There's nobody here." I was like, "It's okay, I got you." So I pulled out a little note paper I prepared beforehand. It had all the emergency contacts, point of contact, email number. I was like, "Here, call this number." She's like, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?" I was like, "Yes, call this number." I mean, she was, it's like just dazed and stressed, and just she was losing control of the situation. So me as the assistant being overly prepared, being this pillar for her, and I'm not going to throw her under the bus. I want a good outcome too. So I'm here for her. I'm just aiding her every second, just being chill, like good vibes. And so I was like, no, it's okay. I just calmly said, look, it's the right person to call. This is so and so Jimmy. This is who is in charge of this. Just call him up and say whatever. So she calls him up and says, "Oh, hey, we're here. Nobody's here." And I can overhear the lady person say, "Oh, you guys are early. I wasn't expecting you." And then the artist kind of was like, "Well, we need kind of got aggressive." And I was like, "Whoa." So I was like, "What are you doing?" So whenever the lady showed up, I made sure to be extra nice and be like, "Oh, so sorry, we're here early. Yeah, we're supposed to be here at this certain time, but we thought it'd be better to get it going early, just because there's a lot to do." And so they were really nice. And then I asked them if they could just kind of show us around and kind of give us a little tour. And I was like, wow, this is a beautiful place. I diffused the situation, right? Because the artist couldn't help be aggressive because she lost control. She was all over the place. She was dazed and just like nervous, and she was filled with fear, but she wasn't showing it. That's the thing. Her face was showing no emotion at all. No emotion at all. No happy. It was just she was hiding behind a stone wall. She was so afraid to show any emotion. She was so afraid to do anything wrong. And I get it. Eventually she opened up and said, this is my first time doing a thing like this. I was like, I could tell. I could tell. So, but don't worry, I had you the whole way. Don't worry, I got you. It was like, so you painted, you did the thing, and I got you. I got you. I got everyone. So that's my story of that. And then there's more that went wrong during the event. A lot of the stands that she had that were sent to her were these like really cheap stands that kept like you put the little canvas on these little thin ones, but it was so lumpy and loppy, like it would just lose balance. Like you barely touch it, it'd be like wobbly. So I actually had a spare of 50 strong cardboard stands that the company gave me. So I had those handy, and I was like, listen, every kid that was struggling, like the canvas kept falling, and like I would go over and be like, hey, do you need one of these? I wouldn't even wait for them to ask. I would just see the kid struggling and be like, you know what, here. And I wasn't even worried about the supplies. I wasn't worried about, will I get this back? I just thought, you know what, let the kid enjoy their time. Let this be what I was worried was I wanted to make sure everybody had such a fantastic time. And they did, because at the end of the day, you had kids painting their faces and hands. They're laughing and having a good time. You could tell everybody was having a great time. And that was because of me. I was setting the tone. I was helping everybody. People who felt a little shy and comfortable, I was like helping them out a little bit to pull them out. They get comfortable, and they got comfortable. Next thing you know, they're laughing. You know what I meant? Everybody was laughing and having a good time by the end of it. And then by the end of it, we had everybody help us clean. And everybody like was more than willing, because again, they had such a good time. By the end of it, and I solved every little problem, every little issue that arose. I was there, Johnny on the spot, to solve it immediately. Any little fire, immediately put out. Any problem. That's part of being prepared. I had little things in my little vest thing that I was wearing. I had pockets. I had like backup this in case somebody needed it. And like one kid was like, "Hey," and that's when you're a PA on a film. It's the same thing. It's like on a movie set, you have things in your pocket because you never know. Someone random is going to be like, "Hey, do you have this?" And you want to be the person that says, "Yes, I do," not the person that says, "Let me go get that," because then you're spending time. And it's fine, you can do that, but it's so much better. It looks better on you when you have the thing. You just have you don't know if you're going to use it or not, but you just have it. And in this case, it was a plastic little cheap thing to put on your clothes, and I get paint on it. And this kid came to me. I didn't even see him. He was like, "Hey," it's like, "I need one of those things. Do you have it?" I was like, "Oh yeah, no problem." And I knew where it was. I was like, "Here you go," like magic, like I was a wizard. And the kid was like, "Oh, awesome!" Like he can go back to painting, and he was just delighted. He was just like, "Oh, great." I had paper towels, extra paper towels tucked away in my pocket. So a lot of kids would be like, "Oh, I need a new paper towel." Ding. And they were just amazed at the fact that I was just Johnny on the spot. I was so nice. I made them laugh. And my confidence came from the fact that I have the experience. I feel prepared. I feel comfortable. I'm in the zone. I'm in the zone as far as like I'm feeling good. And energy is good, and there's no fear, no worry, no nerves. I'm just in the zone. And like present. I'm in the present moment, and that's key. Is like you've done all the preparation, and you're in the present moment. It's time for the big basketball game. You're in the game now. You're prepared now. You're in the game, and like once you're in the game, you get in the zone, and you never allow fear, worries, anything get the best of you. Your mental state has to be strong. Things can go wrong. You can be losing by a few points, but that doesn't mean that breaks your spirit. You just say, "Oh, let's put out that fire. Let's figure out a quick strategy, whatever it is we got to do to put out that fire." And if you watch like basketball games and stuff, you always watch a coach like there's 5 minutes left of the game. They're re-strategizing really quickly what to do. Like, okay, their defense is like killing us. Like, who's the guy that we need to sneak out for offense? Like, who are they not going to expect? And they talk about these things. It's the same thing when you're out doing an event, whatever it is. In this situation, the paint thing, it was just like it came to a point that once you're present, you're putting out fires, and you're just like thinking of strategies to keep everybody afloat and winning. Winning, and that's winning to me is like I said, everybody's having a good time, and not everybody's an artist. So it was really important for me as well to keep encouraging those who felt like their stuff wasn't matching up to their neighbors. So I would make sure to tell them, "Hey, look, listen, everybody has their own creative style. This is just your creative style. Go instead of fighting it, go with it." And so next thing you know, they're creating their own little masterpiece that stands out from the rest. It's different, but that's okay. I was reminding them it's okay to explore creativity. It's okay to go outside the lines. It's okay to go outside the instructors. But by the way, she wasn't instructing very well, but she did her job. I'll just say she showed up, did the job. That's all I say. What did I say? Was it a good job? She just did the job. She just did the job. She went through the emotions. It wasn't a good job. It was a below C. I'll give her a little credit. It was a C minus performance on her behalf, and my performance was an A plus all around. That's all I'm gonna say. They wanted to tip us. And because she's the artist, they kept coming to her to talk to her and ask her questions. And I was I was the guy picking up trash, and so it doesn't look like I'm the leader, right? So she was I could see in her eyes oh, I could just take all this money for me, oh, she's gonna tip me. I could just see it in her head, process that, and then process, oh no, I shouldn't do that. I could see it, and then and I stepped in and said, well, listen, look. I told her, I was like, look, if it's $30, don't worry about it, because it's a hassle to split money, and it's an extra little, it's a little hassle. And I'm not greedy. I don't care. If she needs it, I don't need it. I don't feel in a situation where I need it. So if she needs a tip, God bless you. You take the tip. If you felt like you did such a great job, which I feel like I deserved the entire tip. If anyone who deserves a tip, it was me. But that's the kind of person we are. We're the person who over prepares. We stay humble. We don't ask for credit. We don't ask for the tip. If people need it, we let them have it. It's our gift, and that makes you A plus, top notch, stay gold material. You know what I'm saying? Stay gold. Venice Beach, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Outsiders, in that poem. Man, stay gold, people. It's a rough world, and the world's going to challenge you. Situations are going to challenge you, and it's always important to stay calm, prepared, confident. And the only way to do that, you can't fake that. The only way to do that is to, before the event, before it ever comes to you, spend weeks ahead thinking about it. A little bit of time. Maybe it doesn't have to be so excessive, because I'm an excessive person. I go the extra miles. You don't have to. Just look at it. Go look over through the information. Don't do it last minute. That is your enemy. Think of last minute as your enemy. It's gonna set you up for failure every time. It sounds comforting, oh, I have all this extra time to myself. I don't have to worry and work on this. It's energy. You're using energy. It's a little stressful, but you have to do it. You can't fake it, and you have to do it. You have to pour in yourself, into the project, into this, and give it all your best, because that's what it requires you for a successful outcome. And you can only do that. The key to unlocking that successful event, that door that leads to that successful outcome, is, you know what it is. Don't make me say it. I've said it a million times already in the video. Preparation H. What is that? That's from Austin Powers. So yeah, the importance. See what time we got. Let's see what we got. We got about 38 minutes. We're 38 minutes in. Not bad. I mean, honestly, there's no reason to go an hour. I mean, if it ends here, it ends here. But I've already said everything that's necessary that I've covered in this discussion of the preparation. I've given you a life story example of myself and how I was able to handle an event that was successful. And optics, when you look at the pictures, it's successful, but it took a lot to think about beforehand, prepare, have plan Bs, and then during the event, it was just putting out fires constantly. Every 30 seconds, it felt like I was putting out a fire. I was dealing with a kid, immediately somebody had an issue. It was here, and if it doubled, I would remember. I'd be very good about remembering who rose their hand, so then I'll go, okay, I'll get to you. And I take a mental picture of that face. Does she have glasses? Yes. Does it blonde hair? Yes. Blue eyes? Okay, great. Doom. And then I turn around, help this person. Then I go get the thing that I needed for the other person. and go when I totally forgot who it was, but then I go to the area and go, oh yeah, glasses, blonde hair, blue eyes, bingo. Yeah, it's you. I'm pretty sure it's you. So I go to the person and go, did you ask for it? Yeah, she said, yeah, thank you. I was like, okay, perfect. So you're gonna forget. You can trick yourself into thinking you're gonna remember the face, but you're not. You have to mentally make notes, and even speak it out loud. Blonde hair, glasses, blue eyes. It helps. It helps. It's the little things that you do during the present time, during the event. It's like when you're in a basketball game. Like you're totally focused and honed in. Nothing is distracting you. You're just in it to win it. Every second you're on the court, every second you're out there, you know, it all comes out through you. Your preparation. And Michael Jordan is the best example. I pick him because I was a kid watching him. I was a Chicago Bulls fan as a kid. Whenever they were like finally coming through at the end, winning their last game, their last championship, that's when I became a fan. Because I was a kid and I didn't know anything. But eventually, the Bulls were everywhere. Right, everybody was talking about it. Especially when it came to Miami, Florida, where I was living, and they had games. I was rooting for Miami at the time. But I realized how amazing Jordan is. I realized how amazing Pippen and Rodman is, and they were just like pushing them out as the star trio of like the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I was as a kid, I was hooked on them. This is before I got hooked on music. I was really into sports and basketball. But yeah, like it's an analogy I use because it's so important. Michael Jordan shines because he failed early on. Early on, like if you go back to his high school years, his first year in the NBA, and like in college and NBA, you know what I'm saying? Like he was failing left and right. He was good, but he wasn't like Michael Jordan as we know now. He became Michael Jordan. He had to work at it. And so for me, I feel like I had that experience as a PA, and like being on movie sets and like failing left and right all the time and learning and then doing really well. Like there's times where I was like, I would shine as a PA, and being a PA may seem like a small role on a film set, but it's such an important role because you're doing the little things that relieve stress. And again, you're as a PA, your job is not only to do the little jobs and relieve the stress of the bigger people doing bigger jobs, but also maintaining an atmosphere of, hey, I'm here to collaborate. It's a cool day, positive vibes, right? That's part of it. You can't have a PA who's like, this film sucks. You know what I'm saying? You can't have that, and it's contagious. So you got to have a conscious focus on that too, on that aspect of the mental state. I talked before. You got to have a good mental state. You can't let things ruin that and drag you down. I mean, and it will. It has to me before. I mean, like I thought I was one of the best ones out there, and I fall into bad energy. Anybody can fall victim to bad. It's so easy. I mean, you put certain stresses on certain people for long. Like for me, it took like a year to break me. A year of stressing me physically and mentally, like people and doing all kinds of stuff. Like it took a year of that abuse to break me and to put me in a dark place. Now I'm like in a much better place because I just work through myself. I work through it. More time you spend alone, doing gardening, reading, working out, exercising, working on jobs, you just feel good again. You become you again. Especially like the more time you spend alone by yourself, you just become you again, and you go out and present yourself to the world without getting infected by the negativity, right? So that's important. That's an important aspect. There's all these little elements that add up to being prepared, right? The attitude, prepared, the experience of coming through failure and coming up through the ranks. You cannot fake that. Michael Jordan can't fake being a champion because of last minute training. No, he put in the time. He put in the time. He put in more time than anybody. He put in more passion, more time. And of course, it's excessive. You don't have to be Michael Jordan, but he's just such a great example to me. I love him as a person, as a human being, and like he's just a great example. He's one of the greatest examples, greatest athletes of our times, of the '90s. And still his reputation is still alive today. So it goes to show you what being prepared, what it looks like. It looks like success. It looks like winning. It looks like being a champion. What not being prepared looks like, you already know. It's the opposite of that. And this artist, she didn't have the look of a champion. She didn't have the confidence. She was jittery. Like I'm saying, she was scared. She was, and I was making sure. I was like, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I just had, that was my job. I didn't overstep my boundary. They picked her to lead it. I didn't challenge it. I didn't say her. I never met her before. I didn't challenge. I just assumed that she was going to be really good. Nope. Nope. So, and then that was my failure as far as preparing, like getting to know the person, the artist. Like I should have gotten to know her a little bit more. So I will say that was my little mistake that I should have really looked into. I should have been more. And I did a little. I sent her text like, hey, like here's a link to the paint. I sent her a link to the painting for her to print out, and she didn't even do it. So that to me shows me like I try to communicate. So it's not like I didn't try. I gave her like some help. I even helped her by sending her the link because she had trouble finding the link. She said I can't find the link. So I sent it to her. She still didn't even print out copies, and it's only 10 cents, or I guess in color it's like 25 cents in the library, but still not bad. Plus you can do 11 by 17, cut it in half, get the double prints for the same price. Plus you can minimize. Go into Word, and you can like set it to 11 by 17 and rearrange the measurements on the page so you can actually fit a lot of images. And you can print out little small ones. They don't have to be full. They could be small ones, and you can print like 4 small ones in one sheet, 25 cents. Not a bad deal. You're actually saving money at that point. So there's ways to everything. It's all about the experience that you've had. It's all about not being afraid of getting out there. The faster you fail, the faster you succeed. And Michael Jordan said it himself, you cannot succeed in life if you do not fail at first. So that's why I wasn't giving her shit. Because I realized, oh, she's a newbie. Okay. She's going to learn to fail. But the thing is, I saved the event, but I hope she knew that she was failing left and right. I hope she knew, I hope she didn't take for granted everything I did for her to keep the event alive and vibrant, the energy high, and all the kids like on board and happy. Like it took a lot. So, and they recognized it. The people that hired, like who called the people that paint the town and hired us, oh, they recognized it immediately in me that I was kicking ass. That's why they wanted to tip us. That's why they want to tip us, because usually, it's unheard of to get tipped at a thing like this because they're paying so much already for the thing. So to be tipped on top of that is a huge compliment. But I'm telling you, it was only because of what I worked my ass off. If you're not dead tired by the end of it, you didn't do your job. You know what I'm saying? You did not do your job. If you just let things go to failure, no. You're not tired? No. You got to put all your energy, all your focus in the present, what you're doing, a task at hand. Every second counts, just like a basketball game until the end of the bell. And for us, the end of the bell was at 10. It was 10 p.m. And I was telling her, like, she spent, like, I'm sorry I'm repeating myself, but I'm making a point here. She spent half the time, we had 2 hours, right? She spent half the time painting the foreground, which she didn't even finish. She took another 20 minutes to finish it. It's just the foreground. It's just one color. You don't need a special technique. You just go, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't take long, I will say she had a small brush, but she was acting like a grandma. You know what I'm saying? You have a small brush, well, then work faster. You know what I'm saying? You don't have the time to act like a grandma. You have to readjust. You need to learn to adjust to the environment, to the situation. You can't just be one speed and then hope that's going to work for you. And that's not how it works. You can plan all you want and think that one speed is going to help you. No, once you're in the present, once you're in the event, it's wartime. You don't know what's going to happen out of the left field. You don't know. You got to be like that. You got to know when to adapt. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what curveball is going to come at you. I had this kid who was bonkers. He was painting his hands. He was painting I was like, you know what? Go with it, kid. And he was happy that I let him do his thing. I let him be him. He felt like doing it. He kept asking me, "Is this okay? Is this okay?" And I just was like, "Sure, sure, kid, do whatever you want." Not only that, I guess they're staying at a hotel because I'm not sure what high school they're from. I guess they're a little bit outside of Oklahoma City, so they're staying in a hotel. This kid drops his keys to the hotel and doesn't even notice. And I'm like, oh my god, these kids. So I pick him up and I just kind of hold him for a second to see if he notices. And I'm like, really? You don't notice? Like minutes have gone by. You don't even know. Oh my gosh, these kids. So I'm like, hey, kid, did you lose these? And he's like, yes, thank you. Oh my gosh, I would have, surely he would have got another key, but he's like, I wouldn't have gotten in, over exaggerating, some adult would have figured out, give him a spare key, whatever, taking some time. Anyways, I say, guess what happens again? He loses his keys again. And I'm like, there's no way the same kid lost his keys. So I pick him up. It's a different spot in the room. I pick him up. I go, surely it's not the same kid. So instead of going to the kid, I go to a grown-up in the room. I go, hey, listen, someone lost their keys. Make an announcement or something. So lo and behold, the teacher or whatever makes an announcement. Same kid grabs his keys, and I'm like, oh boy, this kid is a disaster. Is a walking disaster, but you gotta love him because that was me. That was me. That was me. So anytime you see someone struggling, don't give them shit. Don't be an asshole. They're just someone who's learning. They're all going through a learning curve. Maybe they're not. Your best thing to do is to be nice. Show them how courteous you can be. Show them what a wonderful time it was to paint or whatever it is you're doing. That it wasn't a waste of time. Show. And like I said, they had a good time because I set the tone early on and maintained it. It was a happy, joyous, giggly. I was laughing. Kids were cracking jokes, and I was laughing with them. And it's like almost like they were testing me. They were like cracking jokes to see if it was okay. And it got to the point where they're making jokes about guns, and I was like, okay, I'm laughing, but I was like making faces like careful. I was like, ha ha ha, easy there. So I was like their favorite uncle, if you will. I was like their buddy. I was their, what I'm saying? I wasn't acting like an authority. I was acting like their friend, and I was acting like an artist who's inspiring younger generations to paint because there's so much joy into it. I want to show you how much joy it can be. You don't have to be scared. Like just dive in. Some kids were scared because they didn't want to be seen messing up. And I told them like, there's no mess up here. This is a free for all, kid. You not realize? And he's like, what? I was like, yeah. Like you can listen to her, you can do the painting, or you can do your own thing. And he was like, oh. And all then like there was a wildfire of kids like want to do their own thing. Guess what? It was great that all the kids did their own thing because you had kids painting cities that they were from, and that was beautiful. They made it personal. This kid drew the Seattle thing, and I was like, oh, I know what that is. Can you tell me? I was like, yeah, it's Seattle. And I got in a conversation. Oh, like, okay, you got family. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? You make it personal, and then now it's an extra layer for them to just it's like, wow, like you listened to me, you let me make it personal, and now they have something they really care about. The painting, it's like they care about it. It's an experience they'll remember because it was such a great time. And they made it personal by drawing their city or doing whatever they want to it. A kid drew a forest fire, which cracked me up, man. I was cracking up. A kid drew a forest fire. And then another kid was like, I think that's cool. And he was like, check it out. Your fire caught on a little bit to my building. It's on fire. I was like, go with it. Go with it, And so the kids had a great time. You just don't know what's going to come out of left field. So you got to decide quickly what's going to be the best road. And obviously, at that moment, I thought the best thing for them is to have a great time and make it personal and to remember this moment, because where else are they going to feel like they have this much freedom to express themselves? Maybe they don't have that somewhere else. You got to think about these things. Maybe these kids don't have that somewhere else. They don't have that kind of friend that allows them to explore creativity, or the parents that allows them, or they never did it because they never thought they could. There was one kid, oh my goodness, you could tell there was something about him. He had like an extra intelligence. He was very reserved, and he was like, I don't want to paint. And eventually I got him to paint because he wouldn't do it. I think he was scared because he puts on a front that he's like strong and smart. He's a high schooler, mind you. and he was afraid. I think he was afraid of fucking up and messing up, and then showing to the rest of the class that he's not all that he is, because people take that personal. They could be smart somewhere else in a different field, but somehow in this particular field, they get a little like I've seen it in screenwriters who write screenplays, and I read their screenplay, and it's like way not even close to being like solid, and they get offended because they're pouring themselves into it. I get it. They get offended, but the whole point of someone else giving you a different perspective is for you to go, oh, these are opinions that an outsider and someone part of the audience is giving me. I should take that into consideration and work on my script, see what I can do. Not change it for their benefit, change it because it's still my story, it's still my characters, but maybe I should do something to make the audience laugh, get them intrigued, get them more interested in the characters, spend more time entertaining them so they get value out of it, teach them something, put a theme in. There's so much you can do. And when I don't see those things, I go, look, you're missing a lot of these things. I'm not saying you could say your script is done, but you risk the case of it being a huge flop and a huge failure, you not doing anything with it, and people not reading it and it going nowhere because you're not putting the real time and you're not really listening to real professional writers like myself. Yes, I'm a professional writer. I've written professionally for 3 years until I just suddenly stopped doing it. I stopped writing. I'm writing a book, but besides that, I'm not writing like professionally or anything. I just, so, I could teach it. I could teach script writing. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. But anyways, what do you put your time in is important. And so you can have these big plans, but if you're not experienced, if you don't put in the time to have the experience, all your planning is not going to amount to anything. I mean, it's going to amount to something pretty amateurish, to amateur hour, to be honest. Sorry, that's harsh. That's harsh to hear, but I see it with actors who prepare the last minute, and it's just amateur hour, man. They miss opportunities when they deliver lines to really land something and to show us something about the character through the emotions, like the way he expresses those words. No, they just robotic, blah 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 blah. I'm doing this for the 20th time. I'm so bored. It's sad. It's sad when you see there's just no joy there. There's just robotic, like because they have to be there, I'm sure, because they don't have enough people. Like, it's just sad, I don't want to be that kind of actor, and I'm sorry if I'm overstepping here. I'm sure I am and being a little judgmental, but again, it's just being critical, being critical, and it's that's something I'm afraid to be critical with other actors. Like, I don't want ever say to another actor, hey, this or that, because they might get offended. So if anything, I might have a one-on-one session where I work on lines with them, and then I might be like, hey, you know what? Try it like this, just for funsies. And the next thing you know, they incorporate it. Who knows? There's ways to go around trying to, because that's something Michael Jordan did too. He wasn't just about himself. He was about his team players. And that's something you do as a leader, right? I was assisting this paint situation. There was the leader who was just not a strong leader and just not a strong captain, but that wasn't my job. My job was to assist, and I did my job, and we killed it, even though she wasn't the strong captain that seemed deserving of that position. It didn't matter. I wasn't there to judge her, critique her. I was just there to help her along the journey, and I was there to make sure that we were a success, because if we were a success, I knew I would have a job. You know what I'm saying? So Michael Jordan was the same way. If you watch the documentary on Netflix, it's called The Last Dance, he talks about how he pushed himself, but he also pushed his teammates. He pushed his teammates. He didn't throw them underneath the bus. He wasn't trying to outshine them. If anything, he was just trying to outdo himself, right? To be the best he could be, right? To win games and whatever, right? He built a whole empire around himself because of who he is, who he became. It's not fake; it's real. And so everyone looks up to him. His teammates look up to him, and not only that, they kind of hate him because Michael Jordan required so much out of his teammates. He required a lot of himself but he also was requiring that from his other teammates. And the other teammates, not and you'll come in contact. You could have plans, strategies. You'll come into contact with players that are just not so good because they don't have the heart isn't there as quiet. Their why isn't strong enough. Their passion isn't quite as good enough for you. Whatever. It doesn't match up. So Michael Jordan was considered kind of an asshole by his teammates. They loved him, right? They loved him. They joked with him. They took his insults even and threw insults at him. Because they had that relationship. But they considered him an asshole because he was such an ass to them. He was so mean, not in the way that was like, oh, you suck. Well, no. Sometimes he would be like, oh, you suck. Like he would straight up tell him, you suck. Like get your game on. Like literally, there's footage of him getting angry. Like you never see Michael Jordan angry. Never. When he's doing interviews, he's so calm. On the court, at the rehearsal, he is like demanding. He's like, no, you. He's a captain. He's not just a captain. He's a general. There's a coach, but then there's he's out in the field. He's out there leading his troops. You know what I'm saying? And he is requiring and demanding a certain level out of his teammates, his troops, his players, everything. He's doing it because he wants to take care of them. Now, that's different. It's a whole different situation. It's very competitive, so that's expected. But when you're talking about paint and sip where it's not competitive, you can't really do that. You can't be mean to your teammate. It's the complete opposite. The whole thing about doing art, is that it's not competitive. It's, especially in this situation, it was a non-competitive situation. So there's no reason to be like requiring the best. The only in this kind of situation, I knew that I could handle it by myself. I could run the whole thing, basically. As long as she was painting, I could do everything else. I just needed her to paint. That's all. Just be a person where people can look at her paint, and I could do everything else. And so that's why I wasn't demanding. I wasn't demanding her to be like, "Can you do this?" Like, "Oh my God, we're behind time." Like, "Oh my God!" Like, I never demanded anything from her. All I said was, "Hey," I would come check on her. Then I'd go around, do the rounds. I'd come check on her. How you doing? Need anything? Great. Where are you at? Well, this is how much time you got. Just letting you know. You know what I'm saying? Like the most perfect assistant you can think of. So I prepared. I prepared to have a really good mental state to just face. I mean, you're going to war. You're going to war. You're going to battle. I mean, you prepare. You put yourself in a good place, but then when the game starts, you go into battle. It's no playtime. It's focus. It's work. You're here for a reason. There's a purpose. You have your own reasons, and purpose. For me, it was the outcome of having a success, and for future more events to come. I want to keep traveling outside of Tulsa to do these events. I don't mind going to Kansas, for example, to do these events. I think that would be tremendous. There's the aspect of like the opportunities will keep coming. They're gonna say good things about us, and so they're gonna be like, oh wow, so Lee's really good, LASSO'S really good, and we want him back for another big event because we know he can handle it. So that's on on record now. It's on record that like I'm sure they said good stuff about us, and now those people know. Not all because I've slowly climbed the ranks. Right, I started out doing the one-on-one, then the 14, and then I did like another few classes outside of this program to get more experience teaching, which I find I'm really good at. Apparently, I'm really good at teaching. Like my YouTube experience is a little different from me teaching something. Like I'm teaching painting one-on-one with someone. It's like a different. I put on a whole different persona. I put on this like I'm your grandpa. I'm your favorite uncle. This persona of like I'm just here for you. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, like, and people love it. I'm just fully present. So it all comes into play. All these little elements that add up to that final key, which is the preparation. Turn that door. You walk through. You walk in towards success. Well, folks, that's pretty much all I got for you. I told you my story. I gave you all the elements plus some tips here and there, and then I gave you, you know, the key to success. So I don't know what else to tell you. That's all I got for you, man. That's all I got for you. So until next time, folks. Cheers to you. Cheers to you. Cheers to you. Cling, 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 cling. And my name is Lasso. This is Lasso's Passions. This is the discussion with Lasso's segment. Yeah, welcome. Thank you. We have several segments on this channel. We do gardening. We do music. We even look over Seinfeld. We do interesting facts about Seinfeld because Seinfeld is my favorite show. The 90s, man. Anything from the 90s. Michael Jordan, Seinfeld, Green Day. You name it from the 90s. It's just my jam. You know what I'm saying? Wine from the 90s. Why not? Let's do that even. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, I'm just being silly. No, I'm just being silly because I'm finding myself in a good mood. That was a good one. That was a good discussion. That was a good one. I mean, all of these are good. I need a better mic situation. I know. I need a better microphone. But these are good. I'm getting in the habit. Think of these as my rehearsals to getting in the discussions, you know. My rehearsals for that. Of course, it's still a beautiful day, so I'm gonna take advantage of that. You know, I'm gonna go out there and get a little bit of sun and a little bit, maybe do a little another plant video or something, you know, or an animal video or something cute, or do like, hey, can you recognize this riff? And that's what we do around here. I'm an actor. I'm a writer. I'm a filmmaker. You can see my movies. You can check out Hatch Found Footage or Hatch, or I have a trailer called Stray Kids. My latest movie is out. It's playing in certain specific boutique cinemas because that's my style. You know, that's my style right now. My style is very very limited. Very limited edition. Very small access. You know what I'm saying? I like like Michael Jordan. I like sometimes doing nothing. That's probably why I like the show Seinfeld because they do a whole lot of nothing. They just do a lot of hanging out and chit chatting and making observations and cracking jokes like what you do with your friends. You know, it's good to do that stuff. And I talk about that in my other discussion about downtime. You know how important it is to have downtime, and so you don't burn out. You have a burnout discussion. You know, so thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate you. Give me a sub, give me a like, and all that good stuff. And I promise you, I'm gonna get better at making these videos. I'm gonna have a better microphone. It's gonna be all fancy. I can just be like, check, 1, 2, 3. What up? Do we? You know what I'm saying? Anyways, hey, like my shirt. This is an authentic Venice Beach shirt that I got from Venice Beach. I was actually there. I bought it there. It was a ripoff. It's expensive as hell. It's like $50. But it was there at this is the famous weightlifting place where, well, not where I got the shirt. The shirt was like, you know, a store nearby. But the weightlifting place is famous because that's where Sylvester Stallone worked out. That's where Arnold Schwarzenegger worked out. Even what's his name? The McGregor guy. Ewan McGregor, no, the MMA fighter guy, the Irish guy. He was there for a minute and he was doing a live and like all these people surrounded him. It was crazy. Anyways, I'm out. I'll see y'all later, people. I had a good time. I hope you do. Peace out.